feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now.
Hi everyone, welcome. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. If you are my previous subscribers, welcome back. And for today's video, we're going to focus on a multitude of different topics in today's video. Everything will be timestamped in the description below, along with the corresponding topics titled, or main topic and subtitled "What's the question?" So I will go over quickly what we're going to cover in today's video. If you just want a head start and just kind of understand what today's video is going to specifically cover, we're going to be talking about the war crimes. So I did see in my previous reading that there was going to be a war crime. Potentially Putin will be held very similar to the way the Nazis were with the Nuremberg trial. We have here Putin claiming that sanctions against Russia is a declaration of war. We're going to talk about that and what that may mean, along with fighter jets being green-lighted. We have here the Russian oil ban, which is something that the United States has just issued or planning to do, is to ban Russian oil. So we can take a quick look at that. Anonymous, the war. If you're not familiar with Anonymous is just like an independent hacker group that nobody really knows who they are, hence the word Anonymous, who has declared to do a cyber war against Russia. So we're going to kind of see how that's going, along with whether or not we're going to experience a Cold War, what I had covered previously 1 year ago, almost this month exactly. And we're also going to talk about a potential World War III. And the reason why we're covering this, because I think start to develop in Ukraine, the energy and the energetic path of the world that we're currently on right now changes continuously. Like we said, nothing is set in stone, and so we would like to keep and have a nice update on that as well. So that is what's in today's video. Everything will be timestamped in the description. If you want to go to a certain part, go to the comment section below or the description, and you can click the timestamp and we'll take you to that part of today's video. Just to kind of ignore the length and time of this video, because everybody may not want to, maybe not be interested in all those topics. You might be interested in one of them. Just go to the description below and it might just be 15 minutes. So that's why I have a multitude of different questions in one video, just to make it a little bit easier and more compactful, so that you don't have to keep searching for multiple videos just to find one thing that you like. Instead, I just compact it under one subtitle that corresponds with the title, and just kind of keep everything a little bit more organized for me and you. So this is being live streamed on March 6th. 2022 at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any other questions or anything like that, feel free to put them in the live chat here. This video just for entertainment purposes only and for education purposes only as well. And here are some quick disclaimers on your screen right now. And we're ready on our way to the main part of today's video. Hi, Jocelyn. Thank you for coming. I saw your question earlier. I just wanted to make sure you knew and were aware that we were doing that today. So just wanted to make sure. I know you said you were worried that you missed it, but now you're here, so don't worry. All right, so this is kind of like what I just said here. We're going to cover cyber warfare features happening right now against Russia. What Putin means by Russian sanctions are AKIN, or very similar to the declaration of war against Russia, the ban on Russian oil, crimes against humanity, and of course, are we in a Cold War or World War III? And so those are the things that we're going to cover today. All right, so our first topic of today we're going to talk about is cyber warfare. Now, a lot of these topics only have one or two questions, so it's not going to be long at all. And we're going to speed right through to this video. So probably I'm projecting about 40 minutes total for this video. Might go over a little bit, just depending if there's a live chat question. Okay, a little background knowledge here. Anonymous, an independent hacking group, had declared war on Putin and Russia. Since then, many websites and classified information has been released publicly, along with like the space website for the space program has been released, and the way of how they proceed with the space program is now released. The mission, the goal with that, everything has been released. All confidential information is released to the public, and so that is what they're doing right now, and they're doing quite very good. Putin is not happy about this. He had threatened Sweden for sending weapons. Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he threatened Sweden. I mean, it was, I believe, when I asked about what countries Putin going to expand to. I believe, don't quote me on this, but if you watch the video, the actual video itself, where I asked that question, you kind of see Sweden standing up, like upright. So I would not be surprised if he was to invade Sweden. I didn't mention it in the video, but you can see it in the deck if you like just literally looked. Okay, I didn't see it at the time. What is the future of Anonymous in Russia? Will they succeed in taking down Russia using cyber warfare? This is the only question for this topic. Then we'll jump on to the next one. Okay, Spirit Sanders will tell me, what is the future of Anonymous in Russia? 3 cards for Anonymous, the hacking group in Russia that declares cyber war against Russia. Now, if you're not familiar, Anonymous is a group that is very independent, of spanned across the globe, so nobody really knows who these people are. They could be top officials, they can be your mother, father, son, daughter, cousin, whoever it is. Nobody knows who these people are, and that's the great thing about Anonymous. However, they have issued and tried to defend humanity at its weakest point, so it is really humanity's best defender, particularly against aggressor. We do have here as well, we have the Emperor card, right? People, Anonymous, right? Anonymous is a strong and powerful group. They're able to hack into Trojan, Python, which are all just coding names. And so the reason why this is very important, because they're able to get and grab that confidential information here. And that's why the Emperor card is here, because it signifies the strength of Anonymous, the hacking group. They're not in just one country, they're in a multitude of countries, including Russia itself. We have the Ten of Cups here. Right now, ever since Anonymous had declared war on Putin, and I will use the word declare war because they have indeed outwardly said that they declare war on Putin, this very similar fashion to the way they did it with Trump when he was president. They have been released in public documents that are helping the people of Ukraine. And so you can kind of see here, like the Ukrainian people dancing and happy that they have one less thing they have to worry about because they have an extra ally on their side. But especially with the Ukrainian people, they don't have access to internet. And so this is a huge and a really amazing help on their end that helps them defend their homeland before an invasion comes, because they are aware of it ahead of time due to publicly released information. We have here as well as we have the Devil card reversed, and normally this card would signify no, right? What is the future of Anonymous here? And the future of Anonymous here is that a lot of people who are a part of Anonymous will not be caught. I don't think a lot of people in Anonymous will always remain anonymous, at least in this future. However, they will become more publicly well known. So if you're not familiar with Anonymous, you will know them very, very soon. It does feel like there will be a concerted effort by all governments from all different fashions and ideologies that are going to try to crack down on Anonymous. I feel like they're going to try to wipe this out, even though they helped them in Ukraine. I feel like it's going to be a worldwide cyber war, and that is because the government does not want the regular people. Was in a way, Anonymous is the regular working people trying to defend the sovereignty of humanity as a whole, from being able to release information, particularly corrupt information from corrupted officials, politicians, leaders, people in high religious positions of power and stuff like that. They're trying to crack down on this to prevent people from ever releasing publicly information so that they can maintain more control. And that's why the King Cup card comes up here. So they are going to be in shaky water, but they are going to have a very strong founding and a very big backing by the public. And so there will be a lot of backlash in terms of politicians trying to remove and try to erase, in a way, Anonymous. We have here the Two of Cups here reversed. Anonymous future is going to stay intact. If anything, they're going to have the backing of the people, because Anonymous always had the backing of the people, regardless of where and who they're from, without any sort of disorientation. The reason why they're not a part of like ISIS or like not a part of ISIS, like when I say like a terrorist group organization, but fighting against them is particularly because the country is too war torn, and basically because they have no internet, so they're basically useless in a country like Afghanistan or Iraq, for example. Hi, Doris. What's up, love? Thank you all for coming. So that is the question here. So now ask, will they succeed in Russia? There's one card here, Spirit Angel. Yes. but it will not be one of those quote-unquote defining moments for Ukraine that led to the victory of Ukraine. Now, I'm not saying that Ukraine's going to win, as that's too early to tell, but if they were to win, Anonymous will not be the ones who will be the reason for their victory alone. I think there will be a multitude of different things that led to Ukraine's victory if it was to occur. I have not looked at Ukraine yet. I will be covering that probably Monday or Tuesday. We do have here as well, we have the strength card reverse here. This is kind of like the beginning of Anonymous getting into the Ukrainian network. It was kind of hard for Anonymous to do so as Russia has shut down their internet. However, there's been cases where some of these people who normally are really the best hackers are in Russia alone, who are part of Anonymous in terms of helping humanity. But it feels like in some way that they have to kind of like disclose themselves and kind of hide. They're in hiding right now. And so it doesn't feel like their best hackers in Anonymous are in active motion right now, particularly because they fear their lives and their family lives and their friends' lives and whoever close to them. And so I would say that right now it doesn't feel like they have their best people because they can't, because otherwise they'll be caught. We have here in the future card here, will they succeed in Ukraine and help in Ukraine? We have here the Page of Wands here. Not necessarily exactly what I said before. It feels like they're going to play a role here, but they're not going to be one of those defining moments. We have here the Emperor. They're going to dominate when it comes to the internet. So yes, I would definitely say they're going to dominate in that particular field. Very similar to like the way airplanes or fighter jets would dominate the air, but they cannot dominate the seas. Like they're not really specified in that particular area. We do have here tempers, though. They're going to bring a sense of peace and happiness and hope to people, including not only in Ukraine, but also to the public. So, like, just say, like, fake information or false information or misinformation being spread by countries to try to push a narrative will be counteracted by Anonymous putting out real life information. And so sometimes you also have to realize that all social medias, all medias will try to distort the information in one way or one another. So I would always be very careful with, like, if you watch CNN, Fox News, CBSNC, you name any news media outlet has some sort of agenda. So I would definitely keep that in mind, because Anonymous will always make sure that you get the right information, because their main goal here is just to simply help the people in terms of humanity and try to restore sovereignty. We do have here as well, we have the Judgment card reversed. I do feel like even if they do the work, they're not going to be the one that's going to be credited. And that's particularly because, again, like I said, Anonymous does not want to be in the public eye. But it's in the public eye, it becomes more problematic for Anonymous. But then, like I said, a lot of countries and a lot of politicians and leaders are going to try to crack down on Anonymous, trying to erase them so that they don't have to worry about their corruption being exposed to the people. Kind of very similar to what happened in Russia earlier this year. So that's what I'm seeing here. All right, so next topic. Again, if you just want to listen to a specific topic, every topic is timestamped in the description below, along with the timestamp question. If you want to jump to a certain part of this video, please don't say this video is long, and then, you know, you can always jump down. Everything timestamped for you, so it's very easy. So for today's topic now, we're going to cover now is Russian sanctions are akin to a declaration of war. And that is what Putin said. Putin said that the Western countries, so if you're not familiar with the Western countries here, I'm going to put them up on your screen right now. NATO, including the United States and Canada, have put sanctions on Russia, hurting Russia's economy. So this is NATO. These are the NATO allies, right? And so Putin is interpreting these things as a declaration of war. And we're going to talk about what that means. I'm going to ask a few more questions as well and why that is very significant. So the first question that we're going to ask is, what does Putin mean by, quote, Western sanctions are akin to a declaration of war? Is it a Cold War? Is it World War III? And we're going to explore that right now. Spirit Angel, tell me, why does Putin say that the Western sanctions are similar to a declaration of war? What does Putin mean by this? Okay, this is what I heard in my right ear. I heard Putin wants to shake up. I don't know what that means. He said they want to shake up of some sort, like to shake things up. Maybe he wants an extra challenge. Maybe he does want to do a counterattack. Maybe this was a plan to make Russia appear weak, and then China comes in and tries to invade the United States. Could be something like that. It could be a surprise attack. It could be all planned, by the way. We have the Temperance card. And I do want to put this out here right now before anybody accuses me of this, that I do apologize for any bad events that are happening in the news. I know oftentimes people tend to associate other people when they're trying to just related news to bad news. I just want to tell you now that I apologize, but I cannot control the news. I cannot control both events. I can only simply guide you through them. And so I apologize if for some reason you want to blame me for that. I do apologize for that. But in today's video, my job is just to help guide you and get you prepared mentally and physically, and so that we can prevent some of these things before they even occur. We have that possibility, and so that's why I explore some of this stuff today. So please do not put that that feeling or idea in your head and blame me, particularly for these bad news, because I can't tell Putin what to do. I'm not his advisor, but please help us out a little bit. So we have the Temperance card here, right? And the Temperance card again talks about shaking things up. This is the exact opposite, exactly what it originally means, because the Temperance card kind of symbolizes balance. But in this case, what I heard from a writer is that Putin wants to shake things up. Maybe it's one-sided, two countries. Maybe he wants to change the narrative, shift the narrative by shake-up potentially could mean shift the narrative and say that maybe the NATO tried to excite the war on purpose so that they can take over Russia, to maybe bring up morale in Russia. You know, there is a multitude of things, of reasons why Putin would want to do this, right? We have the left side here. We have here mountain economy. Putin and Russia has been very used to a lot of the decline in economy, particularly in Russia. So it's not really that surprising or shocking. And so it doesn't bother Putin the way that a lot of Western nations had thought. Excuse me. On the right side here, we have the past. I'm going back to the past. Potentially, Putin is hoping that maybe he's signaling to Trump and all those other sort of right-wing leaders like Le Pen from France to try to take over the government so that they can weaken NATO to any point in every point, so that Putin had a higher chance of winning. Right, that's the past card here. We have here, Putin knows he's not going to win, which is interesting because we have 3 cards here, but we have 1 reverse 7 of Pentacles. And so this kind of card talks to me that Putin knows he's not going to win, but he doesn't want to get an easy victory. He wants to have to work for his victory. He wants to appear as a hero, even though he's really not far from the truth. We have here the Knight of Pentacles, right? The Knight of Pentacles, something's stopping, but something in plan, something's in motion right now. We have the Page of Swords. But the Page of Swords is reversed, which tells me that it won't be any armed conflict. Putin doesn't want armed conflict. He's not going to be the one to try to initiate it. He's trying to incite it in some way. So he's trying to get the other side to initiate it so that he doesn't get the blame for World War III or something like that. He's just trying to put the blame on NATO and the U.S. allies so that he doesn't have to take the fall. It's almost like maybe trying to get India and China on their side and say, look, you know, the NATO and U.S. are trying to declare war. So what if I got disappeared? Who's to say they won't attack you? Kind of very similar ideology here. It's trying to use manipulation and gaslighting on other political leaders to try to fearmonger them into becoming allies and partner up with Russia. Right? That's why this card is reversed here. Is that they're trying to get political narratives and change it in a way that would make Russia appear like they're the victim rather than the enemy. And so that's what this is. That's why Putin did what he did. Does this mean he's trying to start World War III? You know, the reason why I asked some of these questions, like I said, tarot cards only give you the answer based on the question you ask. So you have to ask different things. And if you get different responses, potentially maybe you ask a particular question in a certain way that gave you that type of response. You have to kind of explore all avenues here, right? Does this mean Putin's trying to start World War III? Again, I just see yay and nay. It's really up to Putin. Putin has a lot of control here. is Putin trying to start World War III? He's trying to start World War III. I don't see a fighting card here, so we're okay in that regard. But we do have a King of Swords. I would expect the assassination come about. I don't know what political leader though, but I do know assassination is going to occur soon. We have here is he's trying to cause confusion, right? Making people worry, oh no, is Putin trying to cause a nuclear war? Is he trying to do World War II, World War III, type of thing. Like the media driving people nuts, right? Putin drives me nuts. I'm sure he drives you nuts too, right? And that's why this card comes up as the seven of cups here, and that's what birds. It's too much going on. It's kind of hard to really grasp what he's trying to do. He's trying to desensitize people from having empathy towards Ukraine and everything that's going on with Russia, and desensitize people, kind of very similar to the way that we were desensitized with Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, the Gulf War. We kind of just allowed that to become part of our normal, so to speak, and that's what Putin wants. He wants us to make this our new normal, so to speak, in a way, so that we don't really look at it twice. And that's why we have the this card here, the United States. He's particularly looking for the United States, because if the American can pull out of NATO, if Americans can pull out and become desensitized and no longer support everything that's going on in Ukraine and stuff like that, in a way, it will pull everybody out of Europe, European affairs, and that would make Europe a lot weaker without the United States. And so this is why Putin is trying so very hard. You might be hearing the narratives on the news media. Oh, well, we should just stay out of other people's war. We should stay out of Europe. It's not affecting us in any way. That type of narrative is dangerous, and that's exactly what feeds the type of ideology that Putin is trying to push towards, to try to get Americans to become desensitized in a way and also less likely to support stuff in Ukraine. We have here in the future, though, is World War III occur. We have here an assassination of a leader that's currently in power right now. So we have here the King of Swords here, upright, and then we have the assassination card, which is the Tower, a strike. I do see it's going to be a political leader, and it's going to be during the time of an election. So I don't think it's Putin, but I'm getting something towards France, somewhere in that particular region. It may not even be during election time. It might just be election where they prepare and say that announce it for president, and then 2 years out before the election. Could be something as simple as that. But I am seeing the Tower card here, so we are going to see an assassination. Will that lead to World War III? Okay, well, the way they fell doesn't look that good. Okay. Yes, because this political leader is going to trigger. So it kind of similar to the way World War I was. Duce Fernandez of Austria-Hungary, the king, was killed by a Serbian man who was actually happened to be an ally of Russia. Ended up going to war in World War I, triggering it. I do see the same scenario here, but in this case, it's going to be a King of Swords. So potentially this leader could very well end up being President Zelensky from Ukraine. We do have here, I hope not, I really hope not. We have the Judgment card here, the news media. The news media is going to announce something, the death of the leader. Oh, this could be Queen Elizabeth. It may not be an assassination, this might mean that she dies. And this might mean that she dies. That's all that this could mean. Hi, David. Thank you, love. It could just mean that she dies. So you know how I said before a while back when I was doing a reading on her, it felt like if we would ever enter World War III, look to the royal family, because the royal family's speech and her death is going to be surrounding the possibilities of World War III occurring. And I see here is that her last speech given to the nation is be well and, darkness had arisen upon the country once again, just like when she took power back in 1945, I believe, right after the end of World War II. And so it kind of be like she will be queen from the time of World War II all the way to World War III. And then she dies right before World War III starts, or right when it starts. And so that's what I'm saying here, that potentially this assassination is not necessarily an assassination. It just might be an indicator of time period, a time frame, like a time point, where her death is also shadowing everything in the beginning of a new time period, new era. Not saying that it's going to happen, but in one multiverse where this is occurring in the same time period, is occurring, that's what happened. We could have that same scenario happen here. So it's not out of possibility. We have the 9 of Swords here, and then we have the 10 of Swords. So this is kind of like the Queen, right? This is kind of like the speech of the Queen, giving a speech to the nation and wishing it farewell and bring up morale. And also people were upset, but they look at all those swords on that rack. But then look what happened after. The same swords are now in the back of somebody. Potentially, this could have two meanings. That this could mean that, the upsetting news of the Queen and she sadly passed away, and this is the battle that occurs right after. Now that is one interpretation. The other meaning here could all very well be just that that's assassination of a other political leader that's not Queen Elizabeth. It just leads to World War III. That is one possibility here. So one thing that could really trigger it is just the death of another political leader, particularly in a high-profile area. Could be Vladimir Putin as well. So there's that. All right. So could it be us entering into a Cold War? I always said last year that we're going to have a Cold War, but things have changed dramatically since I last read on that 365 days ago. So let's see if that had changed. Now, if you're not familiar with the term Cold War just simply means where two very political forces or countries, in a way, foreign powers who have a lot of power, don't have direct conflict, which is why it's called cold, because it's not actually a war, but it's like Cold War where they're in constant competition when it comes to space and different categories, but also in competition where if there was a war to be funded, it would be like a war like Korea, where Russia would fund North Korea, where the US would fund South Korea. So that would be kind of Cold War where they're not in direct conflict, but they're supplying resources to their countries, but they're not having direct conflict. That's a Cold War, in case you did not know that. Could it be the us as a global society entering into a Cold War? Like I said, I hanged out Putin. Putin really the one here that's going to have a lot of pull here. We have the Page of Cups here. We have the spy. The spy is going to have information. And I'm going to talk about spy and information here. Well, I'm going to show the video later on. But this spy in particular, this spy is a boy, a young boy. Could be a young male even, like a teenager. Someone you really don't expect is supplying information. It could even be a young adult. We have the 4 of Cups here. Are we entering into a Cold War? It is possible. It's not out of question here. But it feels like as if anything is not determined yet. We're not in it just yet. We're in the early beginning stages. We don't really know what to classify this just yet. We don't know if we're in World War III yet or Cold War. We're kind of in like that intermediate period or that beginning stages where it's just too early to tell. But we don't really know. Like I said, again, it really depends on Putin and what Putin does, because Putin's going to be the one who determines a lot of this. Okay, last question from from the live chat here. For how long will World War III be? I'll head quick. It could be about 7 years, could be as quick as 2. Could be 7 years, could be 2 years, could even be 2 months. But whatever it is, it will be short. It will be shorter than all the other wars. Okay, last one, and then we're going to jump into the next topic, which again, it will be timestamped below. Okay, so the U.S. ambassador, this just came out on the news about an hour ago, probably. The U.S. ambassador gave the green light to NATO allies to send fighter jets to Ukraine. Putin said it will be at war with any nation that provides Ukraine with fighter jets. Right, so that is what Putin said at the retaliation of the new decision that just had been released about an hour ago. Okay. So this is the question that we're going to cover right now. What does this mean, and will any country send fighter jets to Ukraine? If so, who? So I'm going to kind of show you a little picture right now, a little picture of NATO. NATO is a very important ally, and this is why Putin feels very threatened and why he attacked Ukraine in the first place. So this is the NATO allies, excluding the United States and Canada, which are not depicted in this picture, but they are indeed a part of NATO. So this is the current makeup of NATO at the moment, right? So you have an idea. Okay, what does this mean? What does this mean that Putin threatened to go to war with a country that supplies Ukraine with fighter jets? Oh, this could be what this is, what we spoke about before. Look, that card coming up. What does this mean? Well, what does it mean? It kind of feels like he's bluffing a bit. Putin kind of doesn't want confrontation, at least not yet. Country's not ready for it just yet. Right, we have here the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of swords here on the wall here. That's the card that represents the question. Fighter jets, Putin threatened other countries that if they decide to send fighter jets to Ukraine, he will go to war with them, which simultaneously will be part of NATO. Because the U.S. ambassador was specifically talking to NATO, which basically means that if Russia goes to war with an ally of NATO, which would be in this case would be NATO, everybody, including all nations in Europe, part of NATO right now, including the United States and Canada, will be at war with Russia. Right? Just please understand how severe that could really be if Putin decides to attack any of the countries, a part of NATO, that is currently supplying Ukraine or going to supply Ukraine with fighter jets. It will bring up a lot of people into the war because there's a law called Article 5. It basically means that any ally that is attacked by a country, everybody part of NATO has already agreed that if that was to ever occur, they will automatically go to war with that country, regardless if they want to be involved or not. They have to. They signed it. It's a contract. They have to honor it. And so in that case, that will be what will happen. Poland refused to send fighter jets. We have the Knight of Wands here. But Poland obviously makes a lot of sense because they obviously don't want to be the reason for World War III, right? Just like they were for World War II, even though it wasn't their fault. But it will make sense historically speaking. We have the Knight of Wands here, right? Trying to get away, like trying to make these people, NATO allies, abandon Ukraine. Just let Ukraine die is what really Putin is trying to say here. We have here the Fool. Oh, Fool, you thought I was going to go after you if you supply Ukraine with fighter jets. That's the sarcasm that Putin is really saying. Oh, you thought I was going to declare war on you and go to war with you, even though I knew the risks. I was just playing with you, but you gave me exactly what I wanted. I almost feel like what Putin is doing here, that this is just a play, a toy, but Putin is literally saying what people think, because they know, okay, like I said early in my other videos where I said that whatever Putin says he's going to do, and I feel like that narrative has been so forth-put that what's going to happen is people think that, oh, well, Putin said this, he's going to do it. But in this case, Putin is not serious. He's just trying to threaten them because he knows his reputation among the world. And so he kind of has that leeway, at least right now, until he, the boy cries wolf too many times and then he loses that. But we have the Queen of Cups here upright. It feels like Ukraine might not get as many fighter jets as it might need, and this might actually cap or be the end of the war. This might be the turning point for Russia. This might be what allows Russia to acquire Ukraine. So this might be the turning point for why Ukraine loses, specifically does. Because maybe without fighter jets, the Russians are able to fully launch a full-on attack into Ukraine and take the entire country over. Okay, this one question I really wanted to ask, this is a question I never really asked before. Is this Putin's way of declaring premeditated war, start of World War III? That was quick. Is that a yes or no? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 cards here. I don't know what they are, so we're going to leave it reversed. That's the answer, yes or no. We have here, we have the Wheel of Fortune here. What's happening now is not supposed to happen, at least not in our reality. You know, somebody asked, I think it was Angel, she asked me, Chris, can I quantum jump to another multiverse? And I said no, because every other universe is experiencing the same timeline. But in our timeline, we're not supposed to be experiencing this. But because we are, there's something at play that shouldn't be at play here. On behalf here, we have to pay the cop. There's a spy. Like I said before, there's a spy here that is providing information. As of now, this spy is saying that there won't be World War III at the moment. Okay? At the moment. Right? But if the thing changes and the spy is either killed or found, then it could trigger World War III. It could also be that if this new information comes out from the spy that says, oh, Putin is actually planning an attack on another country, then that might trigger that as well. Right, as long as the sources are reliable. We have here the 8 of Cups reverse here. We have the left side here, Donald Trump leaving office. So somehow this is related to Donald Trump leaving office. Right, so this was something that Putin had probably planned right after Kamala Harris and Joe Biden been elected president of the United States or been inaugurated in January 20th, 2021. And so this could be premeditated. So this is referring back to the time period when America was really choosing the path of what direction it wanted to go down towards. And in this case, we went down this path. And so we have the 5 of Pentacles here. Putin thinks he's going to win. He really does. He really thinks he's going to win. And that's the sad thing. And Putin thinks that if this was to ever break out, he will be the last one standing. So he probably has something that we don't. Now, our axe card here is it a yes or no? We have the Hierophant, the government, the ignorance. Right? Oh no, we can beat you with confidence. It's too cocky. Right? It's too cocky when you overestimate something, you overestimate your ability to do something. That's when it starts to get more dangerous. We have here the past, revisiting back to the past. Well, again, World War II, World War I, revisiting the past here. The strength of one particular character, the strength of one character will be the one that will be tested. And here's the Ace of Pentacles. Yes. Is this the start of World War III? Putin wants it because it allows him in some way to soothe his ego, but it allows him in a way to feel overconfident, feel like he's immune, feel like he has the power to control the fears of the people. That's what I'm sensing for this. So yes, it will be premeditated. Yeah. Okay, now the next topic that we're covering now is the ban on all Russian oil. The United States is currently contemplating on whether or not they should ban all Russian oil within the United States. So hold on tight. Gas prices are going to rise a little bit more, just like I said in yesterday's video. So that is what we're going to do. And this is one question, and we'll jump on to the next topic, and we're going to speed through the rest of the video. There won't be any more questions, I promise you. So this won't be a long video. What effect will this have on Russia? Will it work? Let's take a look. Let me see. All right. Let me see. Put it on. What effect will this have on Russia? Will it work? What effect will the Russian oil ban have on Russia? Now, I'm talking about globally, too, not just the United States. Russia is one of the biggest exports of oil, and that's what's really helped funding the war in Ukraine right now. I don't feel like it's going to hurt Russia as much as we think it's going to do. Will it work? Will it work? Why are these all coming up with challenges? No. No, there's something counteracting it. It almost feels like, even if there's like, I feel like they have some money here. I feel like maybe China. I feel like China's involved in some way. Like China's funding Russia or helping Russia. So Russia's not really feeling the effect in a way. Maybe China buys out all the oil that the U.S. sells, and because of that, that helps Russia still have a ground stand or the same standing here. So that's what I'm sensing. Kind of like very similar to, for example, let's say you're selling like, let's say I want to sell a sunflower, right? On Ukraine here. But let's say you want to sell a sunflower, right? But you're talking to a buyer, and the buyer says he buys it from you. Somebody off, you have a loyal customer base. then that customer base decides, you know what, I found something cheaper. I'm just gonna not buy your stuff anymore. So now you lost that customer base. But in order to keep the shop open, you need to find a new customer base that is also loyal and who's able to maintain the same amount of money and profits as your previous customer. And so in that case, China will be the new buyer of the sunflower instead of the United States. So what this really means here is that the United States could be getting rid of the oil supplies and China buys it all up. And so that in that case, it wouldn't have that work or effect that the United States or NATO thinks it's going to have. We have here as well as we have the four wands here, right? It's going to be a very strong political move. At least this is how people are celebrating. Politicians like, yay, we're doing it. We're getting rid of, Russia aggression. We're doing it. This is helping Ukraine here. It's dragging Ukraine out of the war. So there might be a little bit of a turning point here. Maybe China sees this and says, oh no, Russia's going to have some problems. Let me change that. And right around this time here where Russia's about to fall and be on its last legs, China comes in and changes the narrative, which is why it becomes a suicide as a challenge here. Will it work? It's up to China. We have here the Queen of Swords here on the opposite side facing the other way. It's going to be a counteractive. It almost feels like the world or NATO or the US won't expect it. It's almost like a counterintuitive attack. In a way. I don't know why I use that terminology here, but it feels like it's going to be counterintuitive to what they were trying to get. And because of that, the media is going to somehow have a field day with us. So expect more of cyber war. Maybe potentially this might be China entering into the war. And by that, I don't mean World War III. I'm saying that China enters the war with Ukraine. So that could be what this is. It could be maybe China just doesn't actually physically send men there very similar to the way the US is, but it's now supplying Russia with weapons and equipment and money, of course. All right, let's talk about crimes against humanity. All right, so let's talk about that. So why, Chris, you're probably asking, Chris, why are we covering this? I'll explain why in a moment. Okay. All right, let me see. Let me pull up a picture of me. Well, this is a video that I did a couple of days ago, and this is a little clip from March 3rd here, and I want to kind of show you the background knowledge here. It's just for entertainment purposes only and for education purposes only as well. Russian entrepreneur offered $1 million bounty for war criminal Vladimir Putin's arrest. Will it be successful? They want him dead or alive. We have the front cover first. Will it be successful? No. They're going to grab him, but they're not going to kill him. It kind of holds him hostage. He's not going to be badly injured or wounded. He might go to a court. Very similar to the way Nuremberg Trials were. Hold him hostage. They're not going to kill him. Will he be alive? When card came out, yes. So the young guy. I wonder if this young guy is the new leader that is supposed to take over after Putin. And so he may have been announced as president or acting president. Oh, that's what this is. It's a kill. The page of cup here is the kill. They got him. They're holding him hostage. This is a kill. Okay, so that's what I see. That's what I saw. That was the previous small clip that I edited, snuck into one small video, 1 minute video. It's a little mini clip, and which now I'll be using on my channel to keep them regular, so you always constantly stay up to date as well. So that is why that's why I'm covering this today: crimes against humanity. Right? Take a look. Will Putin pay for his crimes against the Ukrainian people? What about his own people in Russia? Well, Putin paid for his crimes against the people of Ukraine. Is that a yes? It feels like a yes or no. I feel like by this point, if Putin's assassinated, it feels like it would be an honor, so to speak. It would be an honor. And when I say honor, I don't mean like honor, oh my God, you do such a great thing. No, I mean like, it feels like in a way, it's like, well, we kind of can't punish him because the guy's in the ground. But what we can do is we can just smear his name. And that's what they're going to do here. That's that card here. So now this could be an automatic yes, and he gets tried for crime against Ukraine, and if he's alive. Or this could mean as well is that he ends up dying and just smear his name anyway. So there's two possibilities here. Either way, it's going to be an automatic yes. Right, we have the page of wands here. That's reverse. Right, that's telling me they're going to find evidence that he tried to keep away, but it's also a law that he passed previously in his own country that's going to be the one that incriminates him. We have the Nine of Swords reverse here. Putin forgot about this, and the law himself that he even passed is going to come after him. We have here the Wheel of Fortune. It's not within divine timing, so it's not going to happen just yet, but he is going to be in trouble. At least, in whatever form it comes in. We do have here, we do have the Ace of Cups here. Yes, he will be in an automatic approval. Yes, he will be declared a war criminal. But we also have here the Magician when he's no longer the leader of Russia. So it's going to take place after he's no longer in power. Potentially he's in jail or something, but it's going to happen afterward. So let's take a look at the people in Russia. I feel like we need to take a look at people there. If you're not familiar, the reason why we're covering the Russian people because the Russian people do not support the war in Ukraine. However, they're being told that they have no choice. And I actually should talk about my experience with Nazi children on a spiritual level. I should talk about more about that, so I'll do a video on that separately. It'll be very interesting. I do hope you guys would like that video, but I'll talk about it again. And it's going to be reiterating exactly what Hitler did, what Putin doing now, right? Will Putin pay for the crime against the Russian people? No. We have the Wheel of Fortune. We don't really. I feel like a lot of the evidence that is done to the Russian people is just because he was president. So that's what it's going to be classified as. That he's just a president. That's all that he was, and he was trying to protect the country. And I think that's the narrative that they're going to go with. No matter what they're going to try to do, it feels like it's not going to stick. We have the Knight of Swords here. Putin's going to run away from Russia. He's going to try to escape. We have here the Ten of Cups here. The people are happy. They feel like they don't want to remember the times under Putin. So this is probably going to take some place after Putin is very gone. We have here the Fear Stores here. We're not trying to remember the bad times. So I feel like what's really happening in Russia here, they're not going to punish him because they don't want to remember what happened to them. And I feel like that might be very problematic going forward for Russia because that could very well mean that something like that can happen again if it's not talked about or dealt with. Why did I forget to put the thing here? Okay, there you go. All right, so the last question that we have here, and I want to do some live chat question, is why did I see a court in yesterday's reading of something similar to the Nazi Nuremberg trial? What does this mean for him, and what's the verdict? Well, we kind of already covered that, but we'll talk about the Nuremberg trial specifically. So why did I see the Nuremberg trial with Putin in court? Exactly the card comes. He's hostage or something here. He's going to be held hostage. Maybe he's going to be put in trial in front of the people. And he's going to look like a mass serial killer is what he's going to look like. See cards all come up. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be crazy. He might actually spill the beans on other people. We have here is about the Nuremberg trial. We have the Ace of Swords here. They catch him. He's no longer position of power. He's no longer president of Russia. Right? We have here, people are happy. It's the great news for people of Ukraine, but also Russia. Right? We have the Chariot. It's going to take a very long time trying to get him, but when they get him, it's going to be a good thing. We have him alive and well, and he's going to be put on trial. And because of that, I feel like he's going to be televised too. We have the Fool card. We're going to start questioning him why he did the thing that he did, and it's going to come off very serial killer vibe. So maybe there's going to be a movie about him potentially. So he will be very well known in the history book. I think that's without a doubt, right? We have the Fear Stories here, heartbreak. It's going to be all about trauma. about why he did what he did. Remember what I told you about the men like Trump and Putin should never be in power because it's all about trauma that they have not really healed themselves. It's actually 49 angel number, but they have not healed themselves, and because of that, everybody suffers because we lack the ability and the knowledge to heal ourselves, right? For you guys, you have the luxury of me and other psychics who can tell you and help you in your healing process, whereas maybe Trump and Putin don't have that luxury. Right, we have the Five of Pentacles card reverse here. We have, will he walk away unscathed? No. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because he's alive in this aspect. So maybe there's a couple court cases that he has to go through, but maybe one of them he doesn't show up because he's not alive. We do have the Lovers card. So they're going to take place after Biden and Harris are gone. Or maybe even Harris is in office, but Biden is not. We have here the Ace of Pentacles. There's going to be a verdict, but it's going to be a very tough verdict. Maybe this could be for Putin. Maybe it might be a tough verdict for other politicians who have participated in the war crimes, or have at least tried to do it, like Trump, for example. Because I did say, if you guys have not remembered, I did a video about 1.5 years ago where I discussed about Trump being charged for war crimes against humanity. And so in this case, I could potentially see an outcome where Trump will have to be put on trial as well. And we do have here the Nine of Swords here. Regardless of what happens, there's going to be a lot of politicians who are going to have to be up there on the same stage with him for crimes against humanity. That includes sex trafficking. So yes, I do see that here. So I will do a more specific video on Trump alone. We are going to cover and discuss the possibility of Biden's future along with Kamala to kind of see where that's going. Because the United States does have the potential for a civil war in 2024, and according to the astrology chart. So we're going to talk about that in another video. This has been a long time coming. This is all energy and manifestation. So if anything, I will be putting out a video sometime tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll probably do a live now. So I'll do a live probably Tuesday and Monday on it, where we all come together with our crystals and try to send worlds love and light and try to remove some of those manifestations that has been put forth on this world and society to try to limit the possibility of World War III occurring and irrational behavior from other politicians. So anyway, guys, I love you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for participating in today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.